Welcome back, Truth Seeker. Game 1 of the World Series has concluded, and the 65 City, as we've called it for 9 years straight, won the game 6-5. Of course, that's because Philadelphia in Gematria equates to 65, and it was established in history October 27th, the day leaving 65 days left in the year, of course, which this year was one day before the World Series began. And for the record, Minute Maid Park also equates to 65, like Philadelphia, where the Astros play. But just prior to the game, this was announced. Vince Dooley, the former college football coach at Georgia, the only one to win the championship until Georgia did it again last year, Vince Dooley died at age 90. And consider that Vince Dooley won the college football championship in 1980. That was the year the Phillies won their first ever World Series. But again, Vince Dooley, he was at the college championship this year, and we covered this back in January. Remember, we predicted that Georgia would beat Alabama in the college championship before the Week 2 games were even played. It had everything to do with the Pope in 25. Vince Dooley coached Georgia for 25 years. Georgia picked up their 25th win over Alabama in the championship 25 days after the Pope's birthday, the first ever Pope to live in Suite 201. And of course, Dooley won 201 games with Georgia. His name, Vince Dooley, has gematria of 129. The championship was on his 129th day of his age. The number 129 is 201 in base 8 counting. But just like we predicted last year, we said Georgia will start the year 8-0 by beating Florida because Florida Gators equals 80, Georgia Bulldogs equals 80. That's why they won the championship in 80. Notice this year their schedule's the same. They're going to play Florida today, and today they can become 8-0 again for the season. So we said the same thing this year, and it was very helpful in one situation. I mean, Georgia's been a big favorite all year, except for there was one real-time betting situation where they were down big at the half. And like I told my people, I said, Georgia should come back and win. They should start this year 8-0. But I just want you to think about how sick the ritual is. On the eve of them becoming 8-0 for the season, the coach that won the championship for them in 80 dies. And again, you see why 80 matters when you know gematria. Georgia Bulldogs equals 80. So does Florida Gators. And if you don't use numerology, Gators also equals 80, so they're the perfect team to become 8-0 against. But again, when college championships roll around, when pro championships roll around, you see all these ritualistic deaths. And of course, the guy who won the championship in 80 is dead the day of the World Series, where Philadelphia won in 80. And adding to the ritual from his September 4th birthday, notice he's from Mobile, Alabama, you guys. That's Jesuit town. There's a Jesuit university there. Again, 201's the huge number with the Jesuits. That's why Pope Francis is the first pope to live in Suite 201, and his birth name equals 201, and yada, yada, yada. But anyway, he's dead 54 days after his birthday. Baseball equals 54. Georgia Bulldogs, if you don't use numerology, is 251, which is the 54th prime. Jesuit order is also 54. And then his name, Vince Dooley, if you use numerology, equals 57, like World Series. He was 90 years old. Phillies equals 90. They take game 1, 6-5. It's the 118th World Series. Again, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania equals 118, but so does death and so does homicide in Jewish gematria. Huge number connected to death. And he also died on a date with 80 numerology. And notice further the overlap with Philadelphia Phillies and University of Georgia. Exact same, forwards and backwards. This is how they do it, you guys. Scripted sports, college and pro, scripted together, ritual murders, by the numbers. And again, you can prove it every single day. You just learn this simple code of ABC 1, 2, 3, and you can see how sick the game really is. We were showing how Vince Dooley was synced up with Georgia's rigged championship. And keep in mind, Georgia's the defending World Series champs, right? The Phillies knocked them out this year. The Braves won it last year. Congrats to the winners last year. Congrats to the winners this year. We've done it every year since the 111th World Series, nailing the baseball teams to be in the big game from the start of the season. Again, all you guys who sleep on this knowledge, the only reason you do it is because you got the low IQs. Go watch the work we did when we went to Yale, one of the hardest universities to get into the world, watch all the interactions we had with students on the Yale campus. These are the brightest minds in the country. Not one negative interaction. Every single person picked it up. Even met a young Jewish man. And he said, wow. He said, I thought this was only something in Hebrew. He said, you're blowing my mind. He said, wow, this is undeniable. Again, that's what happens when high intelligence people encounter this work. And that's what I've said all along, you guys. I've said all of my critics have one thing in common. They're fucking retards. And that's all this nation's full of. 90% of America is fucking retarded. And that's not some insult. Well, I guess in a way it is insulting, but it's the reason I say it is because this is a truth channel, and that's a truthful statement. This is a nation of fucking morons, and we were made to be moronic. Again, you were taught stupid stuff in school that made no sense. You were taught by dumb people, and your whole diet has mostly been poison and shit. So, again, your head's full of shit, your body's full of shit, your mind works like shit, and that's why you say things like, numerology, that's stupid, as it lines up every fucking day in an undeniable way. Until next time.